Hello and welcome to Brand Your Passion, the show that helps you turn the thing you love the most into something that people know and love you for. I'm your host, Holly Arnett, the brand coach for creatives, and I'm on a mission to make the world a more creative place, one brand at a time. If you're ready to get more eyes on your work, more dollars in your pocket, and more creativity in your life, you're in the right place. Welcome. Let's brand your passion. Welcome to this week's episode of Brand Your Passion. I am super excited today to be joined by Viv Kruckow, aka Rust Creative. Welcome to the show.
Yay, thank you so much for having me, Holly. I'm so excited to be here.
Anytime. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So I am a writer, an author, a podcast host, and a creativity coach and a business owner. So I have lots of different hats that I wear under my very creative umbrella. And my purpose is to share stories and help people embrace their creative magic. So as you can probably gather, I do that in lots of different ways. And I just feel like I'm in a very great place at the moment where I'm very aligned to my purpose and my brand, and just everything's going really well and really fun.
Amazing. I love that you're feeling aligned with your brand. That's very on brand with this podcast. So
Yes.
yeah, and we will get into talking about your brand for sure. But first I want to know a little bit about your creative journey. So were you always kind of creative as a kid when you were younger?
Yeah, I really was. I was one of those dorky little writers who used to always make stories up, or I wouldn't even really get to the stories. I would write character profiles on my old block computer with like Windows 2000, and I type up like a character profile, and then I never do anything with it, and I'd save them on floppy disks. And yeah, so that was kind of my,
wow.
Yes, back in the day, like I'm talking like 2003.
Yeah.
So that was my early memory of like writing and definitely storytelling. And I spent most of my childhood outside playing with my friends. So we were always very creative in like the games that we'd make up, because we lived in a small town and we didn't have any of like the activities that a lot of other kids got to do. So everything came from our imagination and what we could find in the backyard. So yeah, I'd say I was always very creative. I also spent a good chunk of my childhood thinking I was going to be in fashion.
Ooh.
Which that didn't happen, and it's probably for the best. But yeah, so I've always been very like creatively expressed, and I guess owning that. I always was a little bit weird in terms of like my outfits. My dad used to say I was like Cyndi Lauper because I used to wear bubble skirts and like layers. So yeah, I've always known that I was like a little bit kooky, a little bit creative. And yeah, I really love that about myself though. I kind of like that that's what made me stand out as a kid.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like all of us kind of weird creative kids. Yeah, we were like unique, doing our own little thing, and now it's what makes us super special now. So I
was gonna say, I was never an art kid though. Like I used to be so jealous of the art kids because I just couldn't draw or anything. Like writing was my avenue. Yeah. So yeah, it's just, I love it. I mean, creativity, if you can blossom it in like any young people that you know, is so special, and it's going to completely change their lives as they're adults.
Yeah, and that's true. Like it does come in so many different forms, right? You probably think of creative kids as the ones who are drawing or painting or whatever, but there's writers and just dreamers and people who make up stories or outfits or like building things in the forest. Like there's so many different ways that people can be creative as kids. So
definitely.
And so how did you get from thinking you were going to be into fashion and writing stories as a child to where you are at now? What does that journey look like?
It was a very interesting one. I went through high school very certain. Well, there was like random bursts where I thought I was going to do something else, but I think my main goal was always to be writing in magazines. Like I always wanted to be an author, but I was told like from quite a young age, I guess by teachers, like, you know, you're never going to make a living out of being an author. So you had to do something else. So I was very focused on music journalism. And I just really wanted to go and meet all of my favorite musicians and talk to them, basically, back in the day when magazines were thriving.
Yeah.
But I took a gap year. Like I got into the course that I wanted to at QUT in Brisbane, took a gap year, changed courses, did 6 months of that, moved back home, did a different course. I ended up doing teaching for a year and a half. God knows why, because I'd never thought about teaching my whole life, but I was definitely having like an existential crisis. And I think like all of the negative, like, you know, all like the little chatter, like, oh, writers don't make money and the magazine industry is dying. I think that got to me and I
Yeah.
panicked and I went with the safe route. But about a year and a half into it, I had another existential crisis where I'm like, what the absolute fuck am I doing with my life?
Yep.
Quit my teaching course, ghosted all my lecturers, and went into graphic design. So I did so the teaching and the graphic design were both online. So
Yeah.
I never really got the uni experience that a lot of other people do. So it's a little bittersweet about that because I was able to still work and study, which I'm really, really grateful for. But I never got that, I guess, I never found a creative community through university. So I did my graphic design diploma online, which was really great. But then I finished it and realized that I could do copywriting. Like I'd never even heard of it until studying design.
Yeah.
I was like, why not do both? So I was working in a design studio at the time and doing all the copywriting for all of their clients, for like websites and social media.
Yeah.
And I was really fortunate in that all of my co-workers also had side hustles. So they really encouraged me just to give it a go, start an online business because there was no overheads, no risks.
Yeah.
So I started Rust to do copywriting and social media. I registered the business name in February 2018. So it's been like 2.5 years since I actually like launched the brand. So
yeah. Wow.
yeah, it's been a journey. And even since then, like I started out copywriting and social media and then I got rid of social media because I just wasn't aligned to it. And then I got rid of copywriting and started coaching and then like even shifted directions in coaching. And even since then, like opened the online store, opened our gathering, started a podcast. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm so grateful that I called it Rust Creative because it's so vague and it can basically mean anything. And it's definitely come in handy because I have changed directions a lot, but
yeah.
I really embrace that. I really like that I am able to be agile and pivot based on like what feels most aligned and what lights me up because I can only do my best if I'm really, really excited about something.
Yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
it's a very long answer.
No, it's great. I just love hearing people's stories and I'm like, how did you get to where you are now? Like,
Lots of crises. Yes.
Yeah. And I think you're so right that it's kind of an amazing privilege that we have as online business owners that we can pivot and change pretty quickly and easily. And like, you know, a lot of people have noticed recently that it's great to be able to pivot and to be agile and to change things up. And so I think it's awesome that you're like, no, I embrace that. I'm like, okay, bring on the new thing. Might be scary, might be crazy, but bring on the new thing that excites me. I think that's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've definitely I didn't used to be so, I guess, embracing towards it. I did used to have a lot of resistance, but I've learned to, I guess, tune out everyone else's opinions and advice and really look within. Like that's been a really big thing I've been focusing on this year is just actually tuning into my intuition and my gut and being like, what do you actually want to do? And does this actually feel good for you? Because I think, especially this year, we've all had to make a lot of decisions that, you know, may be survival based, which is completely fine. But then sometimes you do have the privilege of making a decision based on like, what lights me up? What do I actually really want to do with my life? And yeah, I haven't taken that lightly and I've been really grateful to be able to have the time to explore that and shift my business once again.
Yeah. And so when you started Rust, obviously back in 2018 when you're doing social media and copywriting, is that when you started the brand that you have now, or did you start with some like the visual identity? I mean, like, did you start with something else?
Yes, I started with something else.
Yeah, tell me about that.
So it was always Rust Creative. I picked the name. I decided like I wanted to go in with a very brand focus because I didn't know how the business was going to shape and evolve and
Yeah.
expand. So I wanted to make sure it wasn't just my name in case I
Mhm.
did change fields or bring on other people or expand into a studio. So the original branding was done by me.
Yeah.
So my graphic design diploma came in handy. I actually did the logo as part of like one of my assignments. And it was funny
Nice.
because my lecturer was like, I think you should change this font. And I'm like, nah, that's the logo. I did it 2 months ago. I'm not changing this anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it served its purpose. And I think I had it for, I want to say maybe like 14, 15 months
Yeah.
before I invested in branding by an expert because yeah, one of the reasons why I went into like copywriting is I'm an okay designer, but I don't have that magic that I know so many other designers do. So I was happy to like just kind of chuck something together for the time being. It still really felt good
Yeah.
and like worked within the parameters of what I could do. And then I was so excited to outsource the branding and do an investment. I think it was September last year
Yeah.
with Jasmine Dowling.
Mm.
So I was just so excited because she is one of my favorite creatives in the whole world, actually. She's one of my favorite hand letterers. So she actually did
Yeah.
like hand lettering for the logo and she also did the branding for our podcast. And it has just came together so beautifully. It kept all the original colors that I chose
Cool.
back in the day. But yeah, it just feels so much more like I don't know, more put together and just it's beautiful. It's just exactly what I wish I could have done, but I didn't have the skills to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really evolved nicely. And I recommend to like anyone to definitely absolutely invest in your branding, even if you can't do it straight away. Like I totally get that because starting a business can be very, very pricey if you don't have
Mm.
like the skills behind you to DIY it. But yeah, I definitely recommend saving for it and doing it because it's just going to change everything. And I have got so many freaking compliments on that logo. It's insane.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
everyone
It
loves it.
really is beautiful. Yeah.
Mm,
Her work's gorgeous. And so
yeah.
what inspired you to finally like invest and make that happen? Was it just that you saved up but you always wanted to? Was it that you reached a point where you just knew you had to? Like what made you decide to invest?
Well, I guess I was at a point where it was, I guess, part in term of the income. Like I'd gotten to
Mhm.
a point in my business where I was able to make larger investments. So
Mhm.
around that time, I also started investing in business coaching.
Yeah.
So I would say like, yeah, it was about over a year from once I actually started taking on clients before I did any huge investments.
Mhm.
And that was just a personal choice to kind of keep it lean and
Yeah.
keep as much income coming in directly to me as I could. Um, but yeah, I guess I just always knew with the logo, like I liked it, but it wasn't the final iteration of Rust. And I knew that I was always going to want to outsource it eventually. And I just kind of waited until I guess I was ready in a financial position.
Mhm.
But also I was just ready for that next step. So yeah, it all just tied together really beautifully. Jasmine was able to, I think it took like, I want to say less than 2 weeks. It was such a fast turnaround because I gave
Amazing.
her some suggestions and she nailed it on the first go.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. So yeah, it just all ended up coming together perfectly. And I couldn't imagine the brand without it. Like I couldn't imagine having a different logo.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really has just like cemented it as a whole identity, especially as we've been evolving and I want to do more like in-person events and stuff like that, hopefully next year when we're allowed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's just become a really, really valuable asset and definitely one of the most valuable things I've invested in, if not the most valuable thing, because it's so instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
And I've been able to use that logo and the Rhythm and Words logo for merch. So because
Yeah.
people just loved it so much, they've able to like use it in all these different ways that I didn't expect to initially. So yeah, it's paid for itself basically.
That's great. And I mean, like, you also have like, yeah, the fonts that you can use on your merch. You've got the colors that you're
Mm,
using for your merch too. Like it's expands across so many different things that
Yeah.
you can use it for. So that's awesome. And I love that you like it kept the same colors that you chose as well. That's really nice. Um,
Yeah, I didn't initially I went with a huge color palette. I had 6 colors,
mhm.
which I'm really glad. And then we simplified it down to 3 for like the main
Yeah.
like logo variations, and I've ended up just rolling with those 3 like across the website and other projects because yeah, it's nice to have those other backup colors.
Yeah.
I have found like naturally we've just gone to really like the brown, like the rust brown, the
Yeah.
pink, the beautiful yellow, and yeah, people recognize that like as our brand now because it's such like a definitive color scheme.
Yeah, that's I was definitely gonna say that. I feel like, yeah, you have that recognizable palette. And I was like, I knew those colors that you were gonna say. I was like, there's the brown, there's the pink,
Yeah.
there's the yellow. Like, it's really recognizable. So I think it's
Mm,
great to narrow it down and have
yeah.
it so it's a distinct combination.
Yes. So I would definitely recommend, even if like, yeah, you have to DIY your branding, that is completely okay. Like we all do it at some point,
Yeah.
but pick the color palette that you like want to stay with, because then even if you change the logo, or if you change the name, people are still going to associate your brand with those colors. And it's already like, it's not going to feel like as big of a change if you do something because they're like, oh, it's still the same colors, like the
Yeah.
brain just has that association, which is really nice.
Yeah. Color has like increases recognition by like 80%.
Oh, wow.
So it's huge. Color is massive. Yeah. And so obviously, as we know, like branding isn't just about colors and fonts and logos, like those things are super important, but it's also about your message and your
Mhm.
values and the audience and everything. When you started or over time, like have you thought about those things, and did you sit down and intentionally think about them and like set a time, or have you just thought about them
Mm.
over time?
I would say both. Like, I
Yeah.
definitely think in the beginning I was very clear on like my ideal customer,
Mhm.
all of that kind of stuff. But because I have changed so many times, like it's not that many, but it feels like a lot for me.
Yeah.
So I have like changed. I guess the audience itself hasn't changed that much because the community that I have, particularly on Instagram, has always been really supportive, and they've always valued like the messaging behind like the physical services that I do,
Mhm.
which I think has remained really consistent. And I just tried to make sure that the brand is a very clear reflection of my personal values as well, and like the things that I value in life in terms of lifestyle as well, and like yeah, the things I prioritize, and I've made sure to carry that through. And I think particularly at the moment it's really shining because the messaging has gotten clear, like the more that I've gotten comfortable with showing up online as well,
Mhm.
and gotten more comfortable with my writing and written for longer, yeah, it's just kind of all syncing up now, and it just feels like a really clear, aligned, like nice little package of like, this
Yeah.
is exactly who Rust is. This is exactly who it's meant to be. These are the exact people that I'm hoping to attract. So it does take time. And I don't actually have like a document at the moment of like who my ideal customer is. I was
Mhm.
asked that the other day actually, and I was like, oh, good question. But I think I go for more the feeling, like the feeling that I
Yeah.
want people to feel when they join the community, and like what I hope they can get out of it more than the type of person. And I
Mm.
think, I mean, it sounds a bit like woo-woo, but I think it will just naturally attract the right people when
Yeah.
you're really clear on the messaging and the intention behind what you're doing. People will naturally find your stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that answers the question a little bit
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
it.
No, it definitely does. I think you're totally right that the energy you put out there is the energy that you're going to attract, right? And I was going to
Mm,
ask you about like, okay, so like what your target audience is or whatever, or how you want people to feel, but then how are you doing that? How are you getting that across? Is it through like what you're saying on Instagram? Is it the content you put out there? Like what has been your kind of strategy, I suppose, if any, to getting
well,
people to recognize you for like not just your colors, but for your message and everything?
yeah, so I've always, well, not always, but one thing I started doing, I think it was the beginning of last year, is quote tiles.
Hmm.
I don't think they were as big as they are now, but it was a really great way for me to get my branding colors across, like, yeah, again, back to like the branding to get the recognition. And I
Yeah.
was doing like different tiles and different color combinations with quotes around like creativity and writing and lifestyle. And that was like a really great way to kind of get the message across very visually and very easily. And a lot of people like would share them. So now I'm still doing that, but it's a lot more of my own writing. It's not just outsourcing to like other quotes that I like. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I had a post the other day where it had a crazy good response,
Yeah.
and I was not expecting it because it was, you know, like the quotes that I share from like famous writers or creatives always do really well, but you never know how your own stuff's going to go. But a
Yeah.
lot of people resonated with it. So I think that's really valuable because sometimes people don't take time to read the captions, but you can fit a lot on a single post, like on a
Yeah.
tile. So I've been definitely prioritizing doing that. And yeah, I also do captions. I love an IGTV, so I've made that like a regular part of my strategy. Reels, I've also been doing a lot of, which I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then I also do a weekly newsletter, blogging, which I'm getting back into slowly. What else? Oh, the podcast,
Yeah.
and then just chatting on stories. So a lot of my, I guess, content strategy revolves around Instagram, the newsletter, like creating content for the website, and then creating weekly interviews for the podcast. So
Yeah.
different avenues, but I think they all have the same messaging and the same vibe around them. So it keeps it quite consistent, but there's still something different on each platform, which
Yeah.
I like.
Yeah. And it gives you an opportunity to kind of like really instill those messages across different avenues. I think I'm firing a lot of statistics out of my brain today, but it takes like 7 times for someone to listen, like to hear what you're saying or to like recognize what your message is about. And so if they're seeing it on Instagram and then they listen to your podcast and then they watch your Instagram TV and like it's repeat, like your kind of message and your vibe is repeated, then by hopefully the 7th time then they're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, like this is what Rust is about and I get it and I love it and this is my jam. So I think it's awesome that you have those different avenues to kind of repeat your brand message and to get people really clear on what it is that you do and what you're all about. So that's awesome.
Yeah. It definitely takes a lot of work though. Like,
Yeah.
I realized last night, I'm like, oh, my Pinterest has been neglected because I enjoy Pinterest, but I just haven't got it into like my regular programming, like the newsletter and the podcast and Instagram. So like that's something that I really want to work on because Pinterest is amazing for those quote tiles. Like
Yeah.
the reach on them is crazy, and like blog posts and stuff like that. So that's something I definitely want to prioritize. And even though I hate Facebook, I'm trying to share some stuff on Facebook because you can direct link. So
Yeah.
as a business with under 10,000 followers, I can't do the swipe up. So
Yeah, me neither.
it's a little bit annoying when you have so much great things that you can share like off the platform, but you can't. I mean, people get annoyed when you're like, link in my bio, but I mean,
I know. I
there's
don't have
no
any
other
other
way
option.
to tell them. Yeah, like that's all you can tell them. Like there's no other magic backdoor that I can show them unless they
Yeah.
DM me for the link. So yeah, I try and do my best.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing amazing.
Well,
I
thank
love
you.
it. And so what do you think so far in this process has been the best part about like branding your passion and turning what you love into your business?
It's been like, I feel like I've learned so much having a
Yeah.
business, and it's really been like, I would say the biggest period of growth in my life. Like it's been 2.5 years, and I feel like I'm a completely different person from when I started, and even a
Yeah.
completely different person from this time last year. Like the
Yeah.
leaps that I'm having is just ridiculous, and I feel like if I was in a regular job, I probably wouldn't have had the leap so quickly. Because in business, you really are just forced to like throw yourself into the deep end and learn as you go, and there's so many unexpected like dilemmas or hurdles that you have to just move through to keep going.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a lot of lessons, but I really enjoy that. But I'm also just really grateful for the lifestyle that I've been able to cultivate by having Rust.
Yeah.
So I realized like before I went full-time in August, I think it was 10 years that I worked weekends. From when I was 14 to 24,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I always worked weekends.
Mhm.
So whether that was through after school jobs or uni and working, or Rust and uni and working, or
Oh my
just
gosh,
Rust and
yeah.
working, like there was always so much going on and I was always working on weekends. So yeah, been able to take back my weekends, and it's just been
Oh,
such a freaking joy.
amazing. Yeah.
Like anyone who works a regular 9 to 5, like Monday to Friday, if you've always had that, you won't understand like the amazingness and the specialty of having a full weekend, like not one day, but 2
Yeah,
whole
the
days to
whole
yourself.
weekend.
It's wild. And yeah, I'm really grateful to be in a position now where I don't have to work on the weekends if I choose, and I can start my days when I want to. I
Yeah.
can set my own schedule. I'm really, really big on my morning ritual, which takes, I would say, like 2 to 3 hours now. So I start my day
Wow.
completely around me. And
Yeah.
that in itself is like a huge, huge luxury.
Yeah.
Because again, I didn't used to have that. And I used to be the type of person who would like roll out of bed, scull down a cup of tea, throw on some clothes and go to work. And now I get to wake up and do all of these beautiful things and practices and then start my day and be really excited for like the work that I'm doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just really excited for like the life that I've been able to make. Like it did take a lot of hard work, but now that I'm here, I don't have to work like long hours or anything like that, which is something
Yeah.
that I really wanted. So it's exciting to be able to say that I've got it.
Yeah, that's amazing and awesome that, like, you can, like, recognize that and be like, "Whoa, I did
Mm,
that. I had that goal and I got myself there, and
I
that's
know.
like, look at me go. What goal can I set next?"
Right? It's such a pinch me moment, like every day, because I do meditation and it asks you to,
Mhm.
what are you grateful for? And I do really feel grateful, like every single day. Like I recognize I'm in such a privileged position, especially this year
Mm.
with Corona and just being where we are with a beautiful house, and all my friends and family have their health.
Yeah.
And, we have like JobKeeper and Job Seeker for those who have lost income. And we're just being really supported. Yeah, I guess by our government and also by each other. So I'm really, yeah, I don't take that for granted. And
Yeah.
every day I wake up and I'm healthy, I'm like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, the other day I was like last Friday, I was so thankful for like you say, like my job and the position that I've built for myself because well, first of all, I have recently started taking Fridays off, which is
Ooh, good for you.
amazing. Because I like want to have time to do my own creative things outside of my business, things like that.
Mm,
But I was able to take my friend to like a hospital appointment, and I just was like,
mm,
I would like imagine if I was at a 9 to 5 and I had to ask
mhm.
somebody if I could like take the morning off, or I had to say no to her because I had to go to work. Like just little things like that that make you super
Yeah.
grateful for. It was super weird because I'm a futurist, so I don't often think about like
Mhm.
what I'm thankful for right now. But on Friday I was like, man, I'm thankful that I can just take the morning off and I can go and help my friend and like, yeah, felt very
Mm.
thankful for this life that I've built for my little self.
Yeah, it's interesting how like, there is all these huge exciting big things and like milestones that come with business, but when you start like taking notice of the little things that have shifted and that been able to do within your life outside of business, it almost feels like a lot more special than what you've done in the business, because you're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I have this thriving thing, which is great, but when I clock off, I still feel good. I don't feel like exhausted and shitty and
Yeah.
like dreading tomorrow. Like knowing that I get to wake up and I feel good about the day is such a luxury, because like, 2 years ago, I did not like the job that I was in. I used to dread going
Yeah.
to work. I used to cry all the time about it and just hate
Mm,
Sundays because that meant I had to go to work on Monday.
yeah.
And now that I don't have a boss, I don't have a toxic workplace, I have like gotten my body back to a good, healthy state, and my mind, I'm just like, all of these things are so, so important. And yeah, really add up when you close the laptop and
Yeah.
you realize like, this is the life that I've wanted and this is the life I've worked towards. And now I get to live it. And so I want to make sure I enjoy it as well. And like, yeah, like you said, be really thankful for all the little things.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's like important for people, if you're listening, to like, maybe you're where Viv just said she was and like hating her job,
I feel you.
or yeah, I mean, even only like a few months ago, maybe like 6 months ago, I was working evenings and weekends working on client stuff, and I
Mm.
hated it and I was exhausted all the time. But I just, one, know that we've all been there and you're not
Mhm.
alone. And like, like I just said, quite recently I was there. And then also encouraging that you can achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. So if it is that you want to have Fridays off, like I just started doing,
Yeah.
or you want to be able to get up and have a 2 to 3 hour morning ritual every day, whatever it is that your like dream creative life looks like, if we can do it, you can do it. That's the
Mm.
message.
And I also like encourage anyone listening, like if, yeah, you're in like a really shitty position this year, and I know a lot of people are like,
Mm,
maybe you were planning to leave your job, but you just can't right now because of the global climate. Like
yeah.
that's totally legit. And, you have to do what's best for you. And sometimes we don't get to make decisions based on what we want. We have to do based on like our survival and to make sure there's food on the table. But I do encourage you to look throughout your day and see if there's like a pocket of time that you can take for you.
Yeah.
And even if that doesn't mean like directly working on a creative project, that maybe you might just mean like doing a meditation or reading a book or like
Mm.
listening to a podcast, like something really simple that you can be like, this is my 30 minutes. Nothing else in the world matters. Like
Yeah.
that will really help you get through it. Like finding those little pockets of time was paramount to me surviving, like working, studying, and running a business. Like I couldn't have done it
Yeah.
without it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, also that, don't give up on those dreams just because they're not happening right now. They're
Hmm.
just on hold. Doesn't mean that they're not going to happen. It's just
Yeah.
that the freaking world's imploding, and
Hmm.
things can slow down a little bit. That doesn't mean that your dreams are not going to happen.
Yeah, and it might even work out better than you
Yeah.
imagined. Like I've found that so many times, like if I've experienced a failure and, I've had to shift directions, it's actually been in my best interest and best thing for my brands and personal evolution. So yeah, I guess just try and keep an open mind and look after yourself. And know that even if your creativity feels like it's disappeared, it will come back. I
Yeah.
promise.
Yeah, for sure. And so, what do you think has been the biggest lesson? You said like what you has been the best part, but what do you think has been the biggest lesson that you have learnt while you've been growing your brand and branding your passion?
Definitely to listen to my instincts.
Mhm.
I don't know if anyone listening is into human design, but it's something I've been really nerding out over lately. And I found out like I'm a generator and the type of way that I make decisions. And I realized that I actually was so out of alignment with my energy
Mm.
and that I was taking on so much of other people's shit, and not even like in an empathetic way, just in a way like they would tell me something and I'd be like, yeah, that is the best way to do things. And I wouldn't
Mhm.
actually stop and sit and ask myself the question, like, do you think this is the best way? Like, do you actually want to do it that way? Like, do
Yeah.
you feel good about doing it that way? And I used to just run with it, taking people's advice, thinking because they had more experience or years or they were older than me, whatever it was,
Mhm.
that they knew best for me and my business. And they never did. It's always going to be you.
Yeah.
And I'd also say, yeah, to really trust your gut on what you do. It can be really hard at first, again, because there's always 1,000 outside opinions, 1,000 articles, 1,000 podcasts telling you to do it a certain way. But I think it's really important to definitely seek out that information, and take it in, take notes, but then make your own plan. Like
Mhm.
do it your way, because if you follow someone else's structure to the T, like 9.9 times out of 10, it's not going to align with you and it's going to just implode down the track anyway. Like it might work for a
Yeah.
little while, but eventually, yeah, it'll catch up to you and shit hits the fan and you just have to start over again. And that's okay. But I've learned that I just listen to my intuition, and if it's like a no, or like it just feels a bit uncomfortable and icky, just to say no straight away, like thanks but no thanks, and move on, because it's those times when you say yes when you don't really want to and you have that cringy feeling that it just is such a bad yucky experience, and
Yeah.
you always regret it. But I mean, like I said, that all comes with a grain of salt. Like sometimes you have to take on the job, you have to take on the client, but if you can avoid it when you just know it's not going to be a good situation, get out of there as fast as you can. And yeah, just trust yourself. It's really hard when you're young and you're starting a business, but you're going to know what's best. You're always going to know what's best for you. And yeah, just try and honor that and back yourself. Because yeah, it's hard. Everyone will try and say otherwise. Everyone will probably try and doubt you, but just know that you have everything that you need inside of you, and you will make the right decision for you.
Yeah. Love that so much.
Oh, thank you.
It's yeah, interesting because the other person I was interviewing one of the other people I was interviewing this morning, her name's Alexis. She runs a podcast called Deeper Life that I think you would actually really enjoy, Viv, if you haven't already seen it. But her answer was basically identical to yours, or very
Oh,
similar,
wow.
about like trusting your instincts and like listening to other people but not necessarily doing what they say, because
Yeah.
you know you best, and you know what's going to work out best. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe seems like it's a theme that people need to be hearing right now.
Yes. And it's
Yeah.
really hard. And like, you might hear it today and be like, whatever. But
Yeah.
one day it will click for you and you'll be like, yeah, actually, yes. Like I've had that so many times where I've taken on knowledge and it just hasn't really resonated with me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've heard it again, whether that's months or years later, and it just all falls into place perfectly. And it's just so like on point, exactly what I need, helps me go forward. So yeah, even if it doesn't make sense to you right now, I bet it probably will down the track.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know me today, having heard you and Alexa say that, I'm like, maybe I throw everything away and like start again and brainstorm everything that I want to do. And like, yeah. So I think it's amazing, and yeah, such good advice, and a really like big and important lesson that you've learned along the way. So I love that. Thank you very much for
Thank
sharing that
you.
with us.
That's
I think the
okay.
people are going to love to hear that, which is awesome.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they will. So do you want to let the people know who are listening where they can find you and what they
Yeah.
can check out online that you have on offer?
So as I said, Rust does like an umbrella of things. So I feel like there's just so many things I can tell you about and offer. Firstly, I would recommend checking us out on Instagram, which is rust_creative. And from there, we kind of had links to everything. So I have Rhythm and Words podcast, which is a podcast exploring the rhythm of our 20s. And they're beautiful, deep dive, long format conversations. So season 2 is currently coming out as we speak, on every Tuesday. So today, so that you can catch that on Apple or Spotify, or wherever else it's linked. I don't know, what's it called? The distributor like puts it on all of these random platforms that I don't know about. So yeah, that's the podcast, that's the Instagram. We also have a beautiful online store, which I'm really excited about, which has products like our Creatives Companion workbook and merch, which is like hats and tote bags and jumpers and mugs and lots of cute stuff like that. So basically just tools to help you embrace your creativity and also explore it and just look really nice while doing so.
Yes.
And we also have gatherings. So that's like an events umbrella, which includes Rust Reads, our monthly book club. And I'm also going to be opening up creative community calls, which will be like a monthly free call. So anyone who is creative from anywhere in the world can jump on and like share their wins and any blocks that they've had throughout the month. And
Cool.
yeah, just connect with the new community, because I know it's really hard. Like, even though we do have Instagram, which is great, it can be hard to directly connect with other people beyond like a one-on-one. So yeah, I'm hoping that the calls kind of open that up, and yeah, we all meet some new people and make some new connections.
Amazing. Sounds
Yeah.
so good, and I'm so excited for that. And I'm like, oh, I might come to
Yeah.
that. That sounds great. So yeah, if anybody who's listening, go and check out all those things. The merch is so cute.
Thank
I'm like,
you.
particularly, I can't wear a bucket hat, but I love the bucket hats.
Oh, me too.
So yeah, definitely recommend going and
You can
checking
wear a
those out.
bucket hat.
I just don't really rock a bucket.
Oh, everyone can. I feel like such a dork wearing mine, but
You look
I say
cute.
that it's like my little armor. So I wear it
Yeah.
as like my armor against the world and being like, yeah, I'm a creative. And it does feel like putting on like the cape or like the uniform, and you just feel
Yes.
like so much cooler. So yeah,
Okay,
buckets
you've
for all.
won me over. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and for having this conversation with me. And I hope that everybody loves this conversation. I'm 100% sure they will. And yeah, thanks for being on the podcast.
Yay, thank you so much for having me, Holly. It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Brand Your Passion and choosing to spend some time with me learning about branding, business, and all things creativity. You can find more episodes just like this one at blackandwhitestudios.nz/brandyourpassion. If you liked this one, you can tap that subscribe button so that you're notified about every new episode. And if you've got a spare second, I would love it if you could leave a review on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. I would love to hear from you and hear about how you're enjoying the podcast. If there were some helpful goodies in this episode for you, it would mean the world to me if you could screenshot your podcast player on your phone right now, hop over to Instagram or Twitter and tag me at Black and White Studios. That's at BLCKWHT Studios. By subscribing and reviewing and sharing, you're helping me to reach more creators just like you so that together we can make the world a more creative place, one brand at a time. I really can't achieve this mission without you, so your support means the world. I'll talk to you in the next episode, but until then, keep creating.